So how is this going to affect the class of 2020's tertiary education hopes? Has the quality of the education been compromised in the exams in particular? To help us understand, University South Africa CEO, Professor Ahmed Bawa, joins us live. Prof, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So the question is, the department is saying that there will be a compromised exam if these rewrites are not done. So if these unions, in particular SADTU and AfriForum, win this case and this decision is overturned, how does that affect your admissions process, the fact that you might have to accept pupils who have written a compromised exam?
Thank you, Shahan. It's an extraordinarily difficult kind of time, an issue. I mean, on the one hand, one has to feel for the young people and who have really been handed a terrible blow here. On the other hand, the issue around the integrity is a very real issue. We depend almost totally on Umalusi to determine whether the process and the assessment of the examinations is of quality that is suitable. And Umalusi plays multiple roles, but one of them is to try and ensure that there's an evenness, if you like, both in terms of time and in terms of place, if you like. So we'll really be listening very, very closely to what Umalusi has to say on this. And if the decision of the courts changes over, one would hope then, and we'll engage Umalusi to come to grips with how to kind of make an assessment around quality. But we will depend heavily on Umalusi on this, yes.
So it's a very difficult position, as you say, right? Because already Umalusi is saying that these two papers need to be written to ensure that there was proper credibility for the exam process. So they're pushing what the department is saying needs to happen. What happens then if the court rules in the favor of SADTU and AfriForum and it's not the case? You can't go with what Umalusi is saying because they're already saying it needs to be rewritten and it would have compromised the entire process.
Yes, so I think what will happen is we'll have a major engagement with Umalusi to try and come to grips with why it opted for that approach. My guess is that the decision that was made by the department must have come from a consultation with Umalusi. So it's a very serious issue that Umalusi has put on the table. Look, there are a number of possible outcomes, right? The one is that if the decision is reversed, the one is that universities then try to somehow make an assessment of how compromised the exams were. Clearly, we'll have to do that with Umalusi. There's no possibility of the universities doing that themselves. And then, of course, just this whole issue around whether there's some way of ensuring that those students who did have access to the exams may be subjected to some kind of additional assessment. Now, how do you come to grips with who had access and who didn't have access? So that's also an issue. But I would hope that the unions and other structures that are putting in listen to reason, if you like, and listen carefully to what Umalusi is saying on the issue of quality. At the end of the day, we would really depend very heavily not on the department, the department's made a mess of it already. We would depend very heavily on Umalusi's judgment on this.
Yeah. So from your experience in this, of course, profession, what do you think needs to happen? Does the rewrite have to happen, especially since it's also coming from a body like Umalusi, which is a watchdog body over the exam process?
Yeah. So look, the problem is we don't have the details. I mean, we haven't been provided with any details whatsoever. We don't know whether it's like 5 students or whether it's 20,000 students who have had access to the examination papers and so on. So it's very difficult for us at this point, at least. And that's why I said that what we would do if the court case went against Umalusi on this one, what we would do is we would really have a very serious engagement with Umalusi to try and understand what the extent of the break in the integrity of the examinations has happened. Yeah. So that would be our approach, I think. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. CEO of University of South Africa, Professor Ahmed Bawa.